Welcome to Silent Hill 1, UFO ending, done on hard difficulty. This is a New Game Plus run, so we actually skip the first part of the game where you're in the nightmare sequence. The reason why I'm doing this run on hard is not only for the added challenge, but you also have access to the best weapon in the game, which is this Hyper Blaster. It has infinite ammo, has a infrared scope, and has the strength of a rifle, and fires very quickly. It's the fastest firing weapon in the game, so quite a nice weapon. Helps out a little bit. Saves on inventory management, and you don't have to go pick up the shotgun. A few other things.
What's going on?
Like this cafe encounter with a screamer. You just have to fire once or twice and it's dead. Two. You can get one, but it's random depending on the enemy's health. So UFO is about 10-ish minutes shorter than a normal playthrough of this game. We're going to have to use a item called the Channeling Stone in 5 different locations. So we can be beamed up by the aliens, get kidnapped, and enjoy outer space. The main difference with the street sections here is that we need to take a pit stop into the convenience store. Pick up this channeling stone. Oh, I almost missed the door there. I'm not sure if strafing there is actually faster than just turning. But in general, in this game, because there's a bit of a delay before you start strafing once you start holding the button, it's about half a second. You really only want to strafe in short distances. Otherwise, it's not really worth it. You may notice that I'm using a... that's unfortunate. That I'm using a certain view style, where there's an over-the-shoulder perspective. It's called self-view. It's only in this game, in terms of the first 4 Silent Hill games. Well, Silent Hill 4 has a first-person mode, but it's not like this claustrophobic over-the-shoulder thing. This camera view is only accessible on New Game Plus, and it ends up being pretty helpful throughout the run, trying to avoid obstacles and the like. The only issue with this camera option is the claustrophobia. Sometimes it gets a little bit tight around certain rooms. And because auto-aim is on, it'll lock on to enemies as you're running past them, which can be a bit disorienting. But like for areas like this tree section, it's very helpful so you don't run into a tree. I'll be using the self-view pretty frequently throughout the run. Enjoy your dance. And thank you for the luck, Nub Zombie. So besides that little pit stop in the convenience store, this is pretty similar to how a normal new game run would be. Let's go and grab all these keys, avoid getting hurt as much as possible, and you're on your way. So if people are wondering how much more damage you take on hard, ooh, that was close. On normal, the multiplier, multiplier for damage is ×1. On easy, I believe it's 0.8, and then on hard, it's 1.2, if I'm remembering correctly. So the damage is multiplied by that value. And Harry, I believe, has 100 hit points, so you can kind of do the math depending on how much damage an attack does on normal. To put it simply, getting hurt by anything is really bad news on hard. You don't want it to happen to you. Even on easy, this game can kick your butt. Normal and hard just add on to it because there's more enemies, they act more aggressively, and they do more damage to you. This includes the bosses. The boss behavior and the way they attack is, in general, faster than the other difficulties on hard. Normally, for the other categories besides this one, we run on easy. But UFO, you can choose between normal and hard. That's mostly thanks to missing that dog head key. That dog head key and me go way back. The troubles we have, sometimes I have gotten very mad at that dog head key by that basketball hoop. I'll miss it and just have to do a back jump. And we just run our way to school. Of course, any of these running around the dark sections are great times to read donations if this was a marathon. There's not a whole lot to talk about here. It's mostly just get from point A to point B as quickly as possible with the best lines, and try not to run into trees or get hit by birds, that sort of thing. The school is quite different on hard. There are more gray children, as they're called. These kids with knives. There's a roaming gang of kids with knives in this school that all want to carve out Harry Mason. And so we got to be extra careful on hard to avoid getting attacked by them. They have two different attacks. They have a grab and a stab. Stab does more damage than the grab, but the grab has greater range. We'll do a safe strat here. Hit the wall, and that'll lure that kid to the corner, and then just run around him. You can also run blindly in the dark, essentially. Just try to run past him, but that can potentially backfire and you'll get grabbed. Nothing unusual. And the solution for this puzzle is right next door. It's so simple that you can overlook it. It's one of those sorts of situations. Like, where do I need to go? Where do I need to go? Casually, and you actually just need to go next door. No worries. So in general, especially in school, you want to use your flashlight as both your best offense and defense. Depending on when you turn it on, or if you have it turned on throughout this game, the enemy behavior will be different. So for the kids, we want to use the flashlight as a way to push them into certain directions. Here I'm going to take the risky strat, and it worked out. Just running straight forward and hoping that kid is in position in such a way that he'll try to grab me. Here again, we'll use the flashlight to sort of lure this kid off to the side, and then run around him. So for puzzles, you want to use the analog stick as much as possible. The analog actually moves faster than the D-pad. Except for that puzzle, it can be a bit scary using analog there because of how close the keys are connected together. Ooh, that was close. So for some of the keys that have shorter distances, I use D-pad just so I avoid messing up the inputs. You really don't want to have that happen. If it does happen, you have to start all over again with the sequence. That right there is also a flashlight lure. If you walk into that room with the light on, take a walk step forward, then turn off the light and run. Most of the time, I would say about 90% of the time, 95% of the time, you'll just be able to walk on by. You can also try and, woo, that was close. You can also try to run in the dark, but you have the potential of getting grabbed and then blocked by the kids. And right here, we're going to hope that this kid does not spot me while I run around this locker. I'm going to do the same strat here. One step forward, turn off the light, And those kids don't even know where I'm at. Go up to the tower. Off we go. It's not too bad of a split. So now we're in the spooky Otherworld school. Silent Hill did a little bit of remodeling and decided, let's just make everything a little bit dirtier and bloodier and rustier. This room coming up, there is a riskier strat, but I'm not going to go for it. I'm going to take the safe line here, which is just sort of running around the outside then going through. It's like, that's a room you really don't want to get stuck in the middle of, because there's like 4 kids in there, and 4 kids with knives equals a very unhappy Harry. School, indeed. Yeah, school is spooky. They pretty much throw the hardest and most dangerous area right at the beginning of the game. You need to go to this door, activate a cutscene with the phone, and then run back out. That bug is only there on hard. Usually shouldn't bother you, as long as you know what the line is. We grab that rubber ball, because it's the friendliest looking thing in that room. Going to school is truly the real nightmare of this game. Yeah, it is. It's kind of a... You know, it's a bit of a parallel to how school is for a lot of people, you know? Elementary school was tough. Elementary school was tough for a lot of us out there. Though probably not as tough as this, getting potentially stabbed. My elementary school had a lot of name-calling and making fun of people, but, no one was stabbing each other with kitchen knives. But yeah, the idea of it is, Alessa was made fun of and had a horrible time at school. People judged her because of her powers, and she was a bit of an outsider. So those negative feelings are reflected in this school. Oh, that's unfortunate. That's unfortunate. Yeah, that can happen. You could take 2 different routes in that room there. You can either run up that hallway and then go into the room through the other door, or you can run straight forward and go through the room the way I did. Unfortunately, I got grabbed. Yeah, terrible things happen to Alessa in the school like that. And so we're dealing with the consequences of other people's actions. That affliction. So right here we're going to use the channeling stone to actually push ourselves closer to the door. Neat little time save. You can either choose to use the channeling stone the moment you get to the roof or after you turn the valve. Okay, not too bad. This is our first sighting of the UFO. We will not see another UFO for quite some time. But whenever it's dark out and we're outside, that's when you use the channeling stone. Right here is a area that can really screw with you on hard. This kid right outside the stairwell can grab you. That kid right there. But much smoother than last time in that area. By the way, you want to avoid falling off those stairs. There's a... Ooh, no, not today. Not stabbing me today, kid. There's an animation that happens if you fall off the stairs where Harry looks like a klutz, and it's really bad because you gotta run around again. And this is bad news. Little slalom there. I love that slalom. It really isn't that big of a deal, but it just feels so nice on a D-pad doing that slalom correctly around those kids who are only there on normal and hard. Okay, good. That kid's supposed to get caught on that chair. Unfortunately, I bonked into the door. You want to run at doors at about a 45-degree angle, so you can avoid getting bonked on that door. So you'll see me sometimes turn Harry as I'm approaching doors to avoid that sort of thing. And you also want to hit doors on the edge, so whatever area is closest to you, hit that edge. And welcome back, Eclair. I can speak. Come on. Well, Andy, it's the in-game timer. So real time, that run that you see, that world record, is not actually 27 minutes long. It was roughly around the same time I'm finishing the game. I'll explain that in a moment. So we spray at stand in place because the Hyper Blaster fires faster if you're standing in place. Avoid getting eaten. He's drooling. That's unfortunate. That's a time loss. Yeah, if he drools, I can't hurt him, so I have to just wait until he stops drooling. Yes, thank you for putting that command, though. It's worthwhile me explaining this, commentary-wise. I still golded that, even with that, drool. So, in-game timer in this game is how we compare speedruns. You still want to, go fast real-time, but, things like load zones, cutscenes, really any time when you're out of control of Harry, or not in control of Harry, out of control of Harry like he's throwing a tantrum. Whenever you're not in control of Harry, it doesn't count to the timer. So like right here, this black screen. Or when you're transitioning to the inventory. Whenever you're in control, so running around at the inventory screen, whenever you have to make a decision like turn the valve this way or do you want to pick this up, that's when the timer's counting. So you can make real-time mistakes, but they don't actually count all that much to the in-game timer. It may be really, really minor, like a fraction of a second lost. And you can make vice versa mistakes that were really big in-game time, but they don't look that huge in real time. So we're gonna run ourselves to the church. I just barely dodged that bird. That bird is a bit random, whether he just sort of hangs out on the street or he comes for you, like that. If you start hearing him fly towards you while you're turning that corner, you're at a really big risk of getting attacked. I thankfully zigged when he was zagging, so to speak. When he was approaching, I went to the left, so I dodged his track, but just barely. Just barely dodged it, but barely is just good enough. We're gonna meet Dahlia Gillespie, a very amazing woman. What kind of mistake could you do in in-game time that wouldn't count against real time? You think in-game time would always be lower, wouldn't you? Actually, now that I think about it, I don't know why I said that. It doesn't really work the other way. It's really, some real-time mistakes don't really count all that much in-game time. That was like, when I said that, I was like, wait a minute. I don't think that's really true. Some of the other games in the series do have that sort of thing. Like, on Silent Hill 2, if you sit at the options menu before you start a run, it actually counts the in-game timer. Even though you really didn't lose any time real time. With this game, not so much. By the way, that bird is only there on hard. So he didn't seem to bother me at all this time, which is really nice. Gonna take that safe, turn around the corner. Yeah, that is impossible. I thought I was being clever, and then, like, wait a minute. That's not true at all. That's not true at all. That's ridiculous. That drawbridge room, by the way, is one of the hardest rooms in the game to do optimally. In part because of how claustrophobic the area is. And the way it's designed, the interior. It can be really tough doing that quickly. Optimally, you just run straight for the control panel. But, if you want to take it safe, you can either run for the health drink, which I would do if I took a good chunk of damage in the school, but I didn't really take any damage, I don't think. So I'm really okay on that. And then you go pick up that health drink on the chair, and then you strafe to the control panel. It's a really safe way of doing that room. Or you can do what I did, which is like walk to the panel so you avoid like missing it. Yeah, it's not possible to have have it that way. I kind of just said it and then didn't think about what I was saying, you know? So this area is actually pretty short on UFO, because usually what we do is we pick up a bottle and fill it up with a mysterious fluid. But we just skip those rooms right there and then go straight to the basement. We're over here to turn on the generator for the elevator. The movement overall in this segment is pretty tough. A lot of claustrophobic areas, and especially with these rooms we're going to head into, doing these really well is pretty challenging, because where you hit this door and not like double tapping like I just did, running to that elevator button rather than the doors themselves to save a little bit of time. It's challenging, but not too bad. By the way, that whoosh sound effect was a cutscene, in case anyone thought there was a draft in their room. It was just me skipping a cutscene. Yeah, Silent Hill 2 has quite a bit of claustrophobic areas itself. Hotel, the apartments. These games like to make you feel claustrophobic. Besides Silent Hill 1 has these big open street sections, really huge. So Otherworld Hospital is not all that different from the other difficulties. Just need to pick up all the items you need. There's a blood bag. I was about to say blood blag. Blood bag, these plates that are colored in different variations to solve a puzzle, a lighter, and some alcohol. I'm gonna pick up some health drinks here. This is a really efficient place to pick up health drinks. Take note if you ever play this game casually. There are 3 health drinks in these vending machines. And that cost me barely any time in-game time-wise. It's just maybe a couple seconds. It's really, really good. 3 health drinks for the cost of a couple seconds is a very nice trade-off. And on hard, in general, especially if I was doing a marathon run of this, I would, pick those up, because it's a good idea to play it safe, not get riggedy wrecked, because you get stabbed. Getting stabbed is no bueno. Silent Hill 2 has a more developed story than this one in a lot of ways. It has a different kind of atmosphere to it. And Silent Hill 1 is... I really like... I mean, I still like the story of Silent Hill 1. But Silent Hill 2 is like a more realized version of, you know, the technology helped. The transition from PS2 to PS1 helped a lot. In part because Silent Hill 1 really pushed the boundaries of what the PlayStation could accomplish with all its weather effects and lighting effects, etc. We're going to try and do a skip here with this nurse. Hopefully it will work. I didn't mean to... She dropped like a rock. I hope she's actually dead. That was really weird, actually. Yeah, she's not dead. This happened last time, too. It's so weird, man. Like, he also locked onto the other nurse, so I figured she was dead. There's another strat there where you enter the room, zap at the nurse, then quickly enter or exit, then re-enter the room. Which, I don't know why I'm having so much trouble killing that nurse. She should die, like, no problem whatsoever, but fortunately she cost me some more time here. Better voice acting and dialogue writing in Silent Hill 2. Oh gosh, that actually doesn't matter all that much real time, but it's a bit annoying. Yeah, he's like, no, it doesn't work. Yeah, because that cutscene doesn't count to in-game time, but it's like, oh. Gosh. I'm getting all kinds of confused. Yeah, you want to use the alcohol first. Not the lighter. So we're going to be behind real-time wise, but we really shouldn't be all that far behind in-game time wise. Overall, I like the sort of story and development of Silent Hill 2 more. Silent Hill 1 is more of like a scary game, I guess. It's more intended to freak you out. Silent Hill 2 is more about dread and feeling of sadness and dreariness. This game is more out to freak you out, make you feel disgusted, that kind of thing. And Silent Hill 3 carries that through. It's a lot more visceral in its horror than Silent Hill 2 is. I like them all, the first three, all for their own reasons. 4 I'm a little bit more mixed about, though, overall. Okay, good. We got through that doctor, not too bad, but turn that a little bit wide. Wow, somehow I'm still ahead, though. That's actually incredible. I would have expected to be behind between all that.
Was I dreaming?
Interesting. Well, this is actually pretty good pace, then. You don't want to miss that key. If you miss that key, you run all the way to the other end of town without that key. You gotta go all the way back. Not so pleasant. I've never actually done that in a speedrun, where I've run all the way to the antique shop without the key. I have, like, run out the door, but then I immediately realized, like, wait, I do not have the key. And, like, if you forget that key, the run's kind of just over. It's a very bad thing to do. So we're a little over 50% of the way done with this run. The truth is out there indeed, yes. Harry is investigating, finding out the truth behind the alien menace, who are pulling the strings behind these events. They're the ones truly in control. Not some girl who has psychic powers. Don't be ridiculous. It's about the aliens, man. It's about the aliens. Yeah, Silent 2 is a pretty depressing game. And then Silent 1 and 3 are just like, they amp up the weirdness and the confusion and strangeness. So we look at an altar, then Harry disappears very quickly. These cutscenes right here take a long time to load, in part because it transitions back to the hospital, then back to the antique shop, so it has to load in the area. And this load right here is pretty long, since we have to go back to the streets. Anytime you need to load the streets, the overworld, let's say, the town, it takes a while. We're gonna run past this romper, hope he doesn't aggro onto us. Oh, he jumped in the alley. Whenever that romper jumps into the alley, I consider it good luck, because he jumps into the garbage bins. Which, I wish every romper would just go into the garbage bins, like Oscar the Grouch, and leave me alone. Because whenever a romper bothers you and grabs you in a run, the run has turned to trash. It costs you 5 seconds whenever a romper jumps on you, and they're faster than Harry, so it's a big problem if that happens. So here's Twin Feeler. We're going to manipulate his position by taking a jump step back, 2 steps back, then shoot away. And Twin Feeler's dead. There is actually a different setup for that, specifically for hard UFO, that saves like a little bit of time because he goes across the grate in a faster manner. It's a very specific setup, though. Yeah, I totally get what you're saying, Josh. Like, there's better character development too, but there's just a different spooky atmosphere in this game. It's just really freaky. I mean, when this game came out, like, even if you didn't own a PlayStation, people heard about this game, and this bird will not stop bothering me. Thank you.
Hey, thanks.
People would hear about this game, and just like, you're going into an elementary school and you're getting stabbed by kids, like, that's just scary, You're a grown adult and you just get swarmed by kids with knives. That's freaky. And then in the Japanese and PAL releases of this game, they actually censor that. They don't have those kids. Come on! Okay, we didn't get hurt. As far as damage goes, I don't think I've taken any damage this run. That could easily change at Float Stinger, who is, so to speak, the final boss of UFO. Wow, that was a really weird angle. Sometimes the camera will just ditz out on you and give you angles like that. It is a horrible angle, though, because that's not the way I'm going, obviously. I'm trying to get out. So Float Stinger is a boss fight where you need to strafe, shoot, strafe, and that's because the boss has invincibility frames between each attack. And his attacks come out more quickly on hard difficulty, so you gotta be pretty cautious. He hurts quite a bit. Let's see how it goes. I honestly think I should strafe to the left, because every time I do that, I get hurt. Woo! Oh, you sniped me. If I get hurt one more time, I'm gonna heal. Ugh. He's being really mean to me today. Ooh, I dodged it. Yeah, 10 star is another. The way I started playing this category on console, you need to, if you're playing on hard, because you can choose to do this run on normal. But if you're doing it on hard, you need to get the fully powered up Hyper Blaster, and the only way you can do that is by completing a 10 star playthrough. And 10 star, there's a lot of wacky requirements required to do that run. You have to complete it within a certain time, play it on the hardest difficulty, have enough game clears, pick up enough items, kill and melee enemies in an even ratio. You have to aim well, like not miss shots. It's really, there's some confusing formulas and stuff you gotta worry about with 10 star. It's a challenge in its own right and has its own very weird route to it. Because normally, with every run in this game besides 10 star, you want to avoid killing enemies. It's a waste of time. But on 10 star, you need to kill enough enemies. You have to kill at least 200. Coming up is the sewer section. We're going to see if we can avoid this first attack. Hopefully this enemy is going to treat us well. Nope. He's always been doing that today. He always just stands there and stabs me the moment I turn that corner. What a ruffian, dude. What a ruffian. Yes, the sewer monster attack is, I think, equivalent to a knife stab. It hurts quite a bit, and if you're not careful, you can get surrounded and die really quickly on any difficulty from these sewer monsters. Strafe strat there to open this door if I could successfully do it. I think I let go of strafe a little bit too early, and so I wasn't quite in front of the door. It's like on the edge. We're gonna take this risky. Nice. Yeah, if that monster's way off to the left, you can just run straight past him. Sometimes he'll get too quickly in position and wreck your day. Out of my way! Okay. Whew. Alright, one attack is pretty good. I went too far forward, so it's just hitting the invisible wall. It's not a big deal, though. Yeah, the first floor of the sewers is a lot scarier than the second floor. You can still get hurt on the second floor, but it's less likely. It's just those tough dodges with those sewer monsters, and since there's so little room to work with, like, you're on these very narrow paths, so dodging these attacks it's tough, and, you know, their behavior isn't set in stone. Sometimes they'll kind of just be asleep on you, and they won't move, they won't attack. Other times, they'll zoom at you, or they'll rotate in ways that are beneficial or detrimental to you. So the sewers are a real do-or-die point, not just on UFO, but any run of this category, or sorry, of this game. There's an extra sewer monster coming up on normal and hard, this one right here. Oh, I got hit. That's unfortunate, but it's okay. We shouldn't get hurt anymore from here on out. The key word there is should. Should not. Just gotta believe in Harry's strong cheetah-like legs that have excellent endurance. Harry is so motivated to save his daughter that he runs at full speed throughout the whole game. Only he was wearing, you know, gym shoes or tennis shoes, he'd be moving faster. Do I speak Spanish? No. No hablo español. I did learn a little bit of Spanish. Oh my gosh. I did learn a little bit of Spanish in grade school. So I know like basic stuff like colors and a little bit of like readings, how to ask for the bathroom, that kind of thing. But in high school I studied French. Use self-view here just so I have a very good idea of where I'm going. It's very dark. We're good. Yeah, he is an excellent sportsman. A little silly mistake there.
What?
He's a marathon runner. Now, he might not be the fastest man alive. He just can run forever. That's the thing, so... yeah, run Forrest, run indeed. He is the Forrest Gump of video games. Only thing he's missing is that accent. Keep in mind, he's like wearing like these loafers or like brown boots. Just imagine if he was wearing running shoes. He'd be just a little bit less awkward. Should have brought his like running shorts and not wear the leather jacket, and you would not believe the kind of power those legs. So we're heading into the last chunk of this run. Normally we would get past the lighthouse on the other difficulties, or sorry, the other categories for this game. But we just need to channel twice more and we're good to go. Once this lag ends, I know to turn my light back on, so I don't aggro a romper. At this point, there's only a handful of things that can ruin my day. I hope that those things won't happen, like getting pecked or a romper jumping on me when I'm running to the lighthouse. You want to walk across this platform so you don't run into the wall there. If you don't press walk early enough, you're not going to be able to turn sharply enough to get around the wall.
What?
Hey, this is looking pretty good. Maybe even a sub 28? We'll see. It all depends on how these enemies treat me while I'm running to the lighthouse. You want to have your light out as much as possible during this, so you avoid aggroing the birds. This romper right here can be a huge pain in the butt. Yep, he aggroed. Ah, he jumped on me. That's 5 seconds gone. Yeah, that's one of the big annoyances with UFO right at the end. That romper can just say, I don't think so. I don't think you're gonna... I think I'm gonna eat 5 seconds away from you. It's really mean. You know, I know he just wants a hug. He just wants love, but I don't want his love. I reject his love. Trying to go hang out with aliens, not with some weird ape beast. So when you're rounding those corners, you want to press square so you can get a tight turn. 180-degree turns in general, you want to walk. Oh god! That bird! He wanted a piece of Harry's butt. Not today, bird. Not today. Right here, we press walk at certain points so we don't run into the rail as we climb the lighthouse. Now we just skip a cutscene, channel, and we're done.
What?
And now we'll be quiet for the wonderful ending. Thank you for watching, everyone. See what kind of time I got.
Sorry. Let me ask you, have you seen a little girl around here? Short, black hair.
Silent Hill. Silent Hill. Silent Hill. Silent Hill.
That's a personal best.